Perfect. And these sessions are recorded and they'll be posted on YouTube, on my private channel on YouTube, with a link on the Moodle page, course page on Moodle. So you can later access it. And I have seen that some of the earlier ones have been viewed a few times, but the last week, for example, didn't get any viewing at all. I'm not sure what's happening. If you are having trouble accessing it, accessing the link, let me know. But the last week's 2 sessions, each with 2 or 3 videos, have been uploaded to YouTube, and the links are provided on our website, or the Moodle website, and you can see those. No, you don't get a control. Try not to actually bother so you can see that these links are actually for the videos that we have. There are 2 parts here for the last Wednesdays. This is last Tuesdays. And I usually put the link here for today's session. And I'll be putting the links for the videos as they are made available on YouTube. So let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, we'll start by where we have left off last time. And if you recall, we were discussing string manipulation functions in the string library. And this string library has quite a few functions. We have seen like copying a string into another one, and concatenating 2 strings together, comparing a string, and taking the length, or finding the length of a string, and also kind of splitting a string into its components with a non-delimiter. We have done a few examples of these. Actually, we tried to implement a simple implementation of each of these functions. Some of these functions we did string copy, we did string, we didn't do the comparison, but we did string copy concatenation examples, and those are posted to our lecture folder on the website on Moodle. Okay, so string copy is, we have, if you recall, we know that you cannot use assignment operator as a copying, let's say, a function, right? So this doesn't work for strings or arrays. So if I have a string of this sort, for example, let's say that we have let's say a character array, a string S1, maybe let's say A, B, C, D, A, B, C, like this. And I cannot do, for example, S1 assigned, let's say something like 1, 2, 3. This is not allowed. There is no such thing in C. But C has a way of actually doing this, and the way that it will actually allow you to do this is with this function, string copy function, or string and copy function, strcpy or strncpy. What it does is it actually takes a source string, which is a constant. So it could be a constant string, or let's say a string variable. And then it will actually copy the content of this to a destination string. Assuming that, first of all, on the right-hand side, you have certainly a string, meaning an array. Within the bounds, the array will end with a null character. And on the left-hand side, or the first argument, the destination argument, you will have a allocated string of proper size. So you'll have, your string has to be set array, in this case str here, will have a number of characters allowed to be copied in it. So str will have at least the number of characters here plus 1. So this has to be the size of str. If str is not allocated or is not declared in that way, then str copy will fail. And we have seen why it would be failing. There is another version of this copy function, str n copy, meaning n here means that I can control how many of the characters from this guy to be copied into my destination. So in this case, for example, when I say 20, I will be actually copying 20 of these characters here. Of course, you can see that there is not as many as 20 characters here. Then it will actually end at the 20 at the end of the thing. So it will actually copy the first n characters, first 20 characters, unless there are not as many as 20. If that is the case, so here what will happen is that you'll see that here, since I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so it will copy only 10 characters because there are only 10 characters. There are not as many as 20 characters in there. So you have to be careful to copy a valid string. So if this is a very long string here, and you have to be actually make sure that first of all this str has the right thing, and it will copy the first n characters of this one. This is fine. The first n character is going to be actually be copied in this case. So but str has to have at least 20 characters long, 20 plus 1, of course. The last one is going to be the null character. Okay. So what I need to be careful here is actually this number here. So this has to be actually you have to make sure that if str has 20 length 20 array, character array, then you have to use one less here because the last character is going to be a null character. So you have to make sure that this is the number of characters to be copied, and the size required for str has to be 1 plus 1 more of these. So it will be 21 characters. So you have to be very careful here. If you are, let's say, doing a character, let's say str20, for example, then you cannot use this one here to actually do this one, because it will copy the first 20 characters. Now it will be filling this up, and then it will be copying as the last character, the 21st character, to be the null character. So it will require at least 21 entries to be allocated for str. If it is 20 entries, then this number has to be 1 less than 20. So we have to be very careful with that. So this is a simple example. I have 2 character arrays defined. The first character is actually, the first string is of length 10. So my question is, how many characters can this result string hold? Someone type it in and answer. How many characters can this guy result? Can this array result or string array result hold? How many characters? 9. All right, because we have 10 entries altogether, and I know that the last entry has to be the very last entry has to be the null character. So if I have to have a null character at the very end, then I can only have 9 other 9. The previous 9 characters can be filled with anything that I have. So I can only fill in here 9 characters, not 10 characters, right? So if I am doing an strn copy, this is how I would do it, strn copy. Here, I am saying that I can have from S1 at most 9 characters. First 9 characters I am going to have, at most 9, not 10. And the 10th character is going to be, as you can see here, for example, this is how it is going to happen. So this is my first line here is my data or the memory. The memory for the first line, the caller side of the code is this part. So this part is for this block. And this part of the memory is for within the function as strncopy. So this is the local view of the memory. Now I have in the caller, I have only two variables here. One is the result variable and the other one is the S1 variable. These are character arrays or strings. And when I actually do the first one here, the result is going to be in the beginning, it's going to be empty. So what it means is that actually there is no initialization of result string or the string result, and it will be empty. It will not be valid since there is no initialization. If I want to initialize this, perhaps I may want to do, for example, an assignment like this in the beginning, assign an empty string to it. Okay, and then when I actually call this thing to strncopy, what strncopy is doing is actually it has three variables, three arguments. The first argument is a destination. The second argument is a source. And the third argument is the number of characters I want to copy at most, that many characters. So destination is going to point to my result string here to the beginning of this result string. So destination is going to be pointing to the beginning of the result string. And source is going to be pointing to the beginning of my S1 string because this is the first destination. This is the other source, and this is my n. N is 9. N is going to be actually copying the value, and source is going to be actually just copying the address of S1, and destination is going to be copying the address of result. When this actually strncopy does its job, what it's going to do is it's going to simply copy first character here, the second character here, the third character, I'm sorry, the other way around, of course. So the first character here, the second character here, the third character, the fifth character, and so forth till the ninth character. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this will be copied, and this will be, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this will be 9 here. Then it will copy the first 9 characters, and then it will put a null character at the end of that result string result, right? So now I have the first 9 characters of this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I made a mistake here. There is another space here anyway. So this first 9 characters are going to be copied, and the last one is going to be a null character here. So if it was 10, if this number was 10, I will be copying 10 characters, but this guy will have actually need to have a space for 11 because 10 characters will be copied from here, which is going to be this part here. So let's do this one. So if I actually do 10 here, then I'll be actually doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this part, there are 10 characters here, plus there will be at the end a null character. So it will require to have 11 characters in it, which is not the case here. This has only 10 characters. Therefore, I cannot actually do this one. I have to have one less than 10 there, at least. Okay. So you can actually call this one in two different ways. One possibility is actually just sending S1 here. Another possibility is, let's look at this way. So this is the results, the source. This is the destination. Another possibility of this one is actually sending the address of one place. For example, here what I am doing is I'm taking, so this guy is equivalent to, this one is equivalent to an address of S1, 0. So what I'm doing is I'm taking S1. This is S10 here. I'm sending the address of this guy to the as a source. So this will be pointing, source will be pointing to this one. If I actually do this one, I'm saying, okay, take the 0th entry, which is this guy, get the address of it, which is this address here, and then send it to source as a pointer. So what if I actually change this one to be, let's say, something like this? So let's go back and change this one to be, let's say, 4. So it says now get the 4th entry, which is the which one is this? This is the 0th entry, first entry, 2nd, and 3rd, and the 4th entry. This is the 4th entry. Now take this entry, take the address of it, which is this guy here, and send it to the source. Now source is pointing to this part of the array, right? So let's look at this closer in a closer thing. So this is what is source doing is source is saying, okay, I am pointing to the 4th entry of this original array, original string S1. Now this is from this perspective, from the source's perspective. Source only sees this part as the beginning of the string, and what it would do is, for it to be a proper string, it will look for an entry, which is this guy here, that is actually end of string. This is the null character. So from this perspective, source thinks that this is actually an array or a string that starts from 3 instead of J, the capital J. It starts from 3 and it is continuing with 0, 1, 9, 9, 6, and an end of string character, the null character. So this is very now interesting. I can, in principle, actually access the array, the string character array, the string, with any of its entries, let's say starting with any entries here, the 4th character here, or in this case, 5th character, index 4 would mean the 5th character of that string. And I can actually use that as an address, as an actually representation of my string. And this is no problem because my understanding of string in C was, or the C is expecting that it's still an array. It is pointing to, still it is pointing to an array here. You can see that. So this, when I change this one with address of S1, 4, this guy is still pointing to an array, which is here. It's pointing to an array in the memory, fine. And it is still a valid string because it ends with a null character, and there is enough space here that actually represents, and it is the same space as S1. But now I have a way to access a substring of this guy, access a part of that string as I actually want. So this is a way to actually access to a part of the string, and it doesn't change anything at all. So instead of starting from the first one, I can start from anywhere else, as long as I am within the bounds of this S1, this guy here, and as long as my last entry is this guy here, which is a null string. So in that case, I can certainly do, so for example, this guy is valid, address of S14 is valid, which is pointing to here. So this is the 4th entry, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is pointing to here, as well as, let's say, and address of, let's say, S1, let's say 8 character is also valid, which is what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is actually pointing to here. So this is S18, S1 index 8. The address of S18 is actually indeed an array, indeed a string, which starts from here. And it has the potential to be this big, but it ends actually here because this is the null character. So S18, address of S18 is a string that is a copy of the original string S1, which is exactly the exact copy of the original string S1. And it represents the last 3 characters, 996, these last 3 characters of that string. So now this is actually good. So this means that now I can, in principle, access any part of a string with just this simple indexing mechanism. Index it at some point, and then proper index, of course, it has to be within bound. And this has 2 things: within bound of the original S1, and it is actually before the end of string or end of array character, which is null character. As long as that is the case, then I am creating a copy of the original string, a substring copy of the original string. And I can actually, I'm not copying it, I'm just kind of accessing a substring of the original string with this address. And I can use this as a pointer, let's say as an argument to a function, and that function can actually do process that substring. Here you can see that what I am doing here is I am saying, okay, I will actually go the 5th entry, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 5th entry. And I'll start a string. I'll think that my string starts from here and continues till the end. This is actually the representation for this guy. This guy, ampersand S1 5, will mean that I am accessing a sub part of this S1, the substring S1, starting from 3 and continuing with 0, comma, space 1996. So you see that actually this is now, and then what I can do is if it is copying this to result, then the result is gonna be 30, right? Comma, space 1996 and end of character, end of string character. So this will be actually getting a copy of the substring S1, starting from 30 and so on. Again, this index has to be within the bound of S1. It shouldn't exceed the size of S1. And it shouldn't, of course, as a string, it shouldn't exceed the bound of the S1, meaning it has to be a pointer to any place before the end of string character is actually reached. This is good. We'll use this one for doing fun stuff with strings actually later on. So for example, this one, I have to be a little bit careful. This says 9. 9 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I may have miscounted that. Let's see, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is this one here. So this guy is pointing to a substring, which is starting with 1996 and ending with a null character, right? So when I actually do this copy, the string copy, result will be actually having 1996 and an empty character here. So it will have more entries, of course. How many entries? 10 of them. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Of course, these entries are not useful to us because it is the string ends with a empty or the null character. And after the null character, however many things that we have in that variable array, we don't care about those. Those are unuseful or unneeded, or they are not defined for this value. So let's do a simple example. Let's see if you have any questions. No, there are no questions. Many people are in attendance. So we have 103 attendees. Okay, good. So let's actually do a simple thing. What I want to do is I'm interested in chemistry. And in chemistry, I have chemical compounds that actually, let's say, are are done like, let's say, something like this. Let's say H2O, maybe, I don't know. I don't know the chemistry that much, but maybe I have something like this, H2SO4 or something like this, right? I have a compound like this, and perhaps I have, I don't know, something like maybe AG something, right? So this is also, I don't know, maybe H, or this is not a valid compound, but it could be something like this. So AG is an element, H is another element, O is another element. If there is such a thing, this could be a compound. So what I want to do is I want to break these compound names into their elemental components, elements. And I want to actually tell how many of these elements are actually there. So this means that a compound starts with a capital letter. This is the assumption that a compound, elemental component actually starts with a capital letter. It may have a small letter afterwards, right? And then it may have a number indicating how many of those elements are in the compound. So in this case, there is an assumption here that there is only one. If there was more than one, it will have, let's say here, I have a hydrogen and I have two of those hydrogens. I have an sulfur or something like that, and an oxygen, and I have four of those oxygens. S is only having one of those elements or atoms, and oxygen has four atoms in this particular case. And this is what I want to do. And I want to actually, given this one, I want to point out, for example, I say, okay, H is 2, S is 1, and O is 4, for example. I want to do it this way. So this is my program is going to do this one. So how do we do this one? This is the question that we are going to ask. Let's say that if I write a function, and let's try to write this function. I have a code segment here. So given a function like, let's say, like this, I have, so let me see, let's say, separate components, separate. So given a string character, okay, I have a problem here. I have to go back to here. Keep this for the time being, and let's go to English thingy. Now I have a string character compound string, which is this. And I want to return, I want to actually print out each components of this compound, each element in this compound in the way that we discussed right a few minutes ago, like this. So again, if you have, let's say, if you have, let's say, this as an input, this guy, this one, for example, H2SO4, I want this function to write H separate 2 space S1 and O4. So there will be 3 lines, and each line will have an element, and then the number of atoms from that element in the compound, right? So this test function for this guy is going to be void test separate component is going to be simply something like this. I have let's say a compound, let's say H2SO4, and I will call this guy to just print out the result. All right. Let's see. But How do we do this? How do we go around doing this? So our first observation was that each of these characters or each of these elements starts with a capital letter. So what I want to do is I want to actually go through the string one at a time, right? So I will take this string, for example, here. So I will take this string here, and I'll go for each of these. I will start from the first entry, and I'm going to say, okay, if this is a capital letter, then it must be in the first one. It should be a capital letter, of course. If it is a capital letter, then I have an element, and then I will see if there is another, the second letter, the next letter, the next character is either can be a small letter character, or it could be a number, or it could be another capital letter. If the next character is a number, that means that now I know this has only one letter in the compound element name, and the number indicates that I have that many of these atoms of this type. If the next character is a small letter, then I know that this is the part of the name of the element still, and I still print it out. If this next character is another capital letter, like let's say I would have, in this case, let's say HO2, if there is such a thing, right? Then the first one is capital, the second one is a capital letter. That means that I have only one of these H here. Right? So there are three cases that I have to have. So if I look at actually this one, what I want to do is I want to actually go through within a loop, starting from this first entry till I do till I go through actually the last entry. I can do it either this way, or I can, let's say, do a while loop. I can say while I am not at the end of the compound. Let's call this this name. So what I will do is I will say, okay, as long as I am not at the end of the thing, which is gonna be like this, as long as it is not end of string character or null character, right? As long as it is a null character, this one, then I will actually check it. Otherwise, I will get out of here, right? So I will check if CI, so CI has to be a capital letter, right? So in the beginning, if CI is a capital letter, how can I check if the letter is a capital one? Someone tell me. How can I check if a letter is a capital one here? If CI in the string, the ith entry is a capital letter. Okay, so how? We can either look at the let's say ASCII code, or let's write a function, an integer function is capital. So this function is checking if a given character C, is a capital letter or not. So it will return 1 if it is a capital letter. If it will return 0 if it is a, let's say, not a capital letter. So this is very simple actually. I can say, okay, if C is larger than or equal to A, and C is smaller than equal to Z, then I know that this has to be a capital letter. Why? Because I know that A to Z, A, B, C, D, capital A, B, C, D till Z is ordered in my table, ASCII table. I don't know exact number of what A is, but this actually C lets me do this one. So this is actually a number, let's say 88. I have no idea what this number is. I don't want to remember that number. But what I know is my capital letter has to be this or bigger than this, larger than this. And then it has to be this or smaller than, lesser than this number. So this is actually my condition. So if I just return this condition, then I am checking if this guy is a capital letter. If it is not, then it means that it might be a small cap letter, or it could be also a number. I don't care, right? So in that case, I can say if is capital CI. If CI is a capital, then what am I gonna do? I'm gonna make a decision here. I said I want to actually print this letter, printf. Okay, so I will print this character with CI. Now I printed it. I can go to the next one. All right. Now for the next one, I have to say, okay, now for the next one, if I am not at the end of the line, meaning if I'm not at the end of the string, then I may have two different cases happening here, or three different possibilities. The first possibility is that my second letter, the next letter. So what I'm going to do is I want to have another thing here. Previous letter is originally, then I will start here. Previous letter. So if my capital letter is this way, what I will do is I'll say, okay, my previous letter, current letter is, let's say, a capital one. So let's assume that we have an enumerated type def num, and so capital, small, and number. So these are the possible letter type. So I'm gonna have a letter type here. And this is my previous letter. And my previous letter here is, I know that it is a capital one. Okay, here I'm gonna change this to be a capital. All right. So previous letter is a capital one. Good. This says that, okay, first character I'm gonna have in that list string is gonna be a capital one. Then I will check for the next character. Then the second possibility is if this guy, CI, the next character, of course, I'm gonna actually do I++ here, and I'm done, right? So I'm gonna increase it. Else, I will check if my character, now the one that I'm actually looking at now, the next one, if it is, let's say, a number. Let's say that I have a number thingy here, is number. So what is going to be this one? If I want to check if it is a number, I'm assuming that it's bigger than or equal to 0 and 9, between 0 and 9. This is a number. If this is the case, then the character is going to be a number. So I am saying here is number CI. If CI is a number, then do something here. Otherwise, else, if, so if is small, so we have to go for maybe actually it could be either a capital letter or a small letter, or it is actually it is nothing. So I can actually have no check here. Fine. Then I'm going to actually look for this one. Okay. So now in this case, I'm going to say if this is a number and if previous letter is a capital one, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to print f just the number itself. I need to actually just print the number. No, actually, it doesn't need to be this. If it is a number, I will just actually do printf this number itself. So there is a character here, and I'm just gonna print it. And this is CI. So I am printing the number. If it is a number, I'm gonna be printing it. So this means that, let's look at this this thing here. So if I have a, if I am here, here, if I am here, that I see a number, I'm just going to print it, no matter what. Means that I'm actually done with the component name, right? So this is fine. And then if it is not a number and it's not capital, it must be part of the name of the thing. Therefore, I'm gonna actually let's do it this way. Start with this one. I'm gonna put a value here, and then I'm gonna actually do it this way. I'm gonna say, okay, now I will put my thing, the character. If it is a small cap character, I'll just put it there. I don't care about anything else. So now this part is, we have to be careful. We have to come back to this one. This said, okay, if the first character is a capital, then this is okay. If the previous character is not a capital one, so if it was not a capital one, if the previous letter is not a capital one, not capital, right? I will finish up the previous one, and I will go to a new line. So I will go to something like this. I'm done with the previous one, and then I can continue with the new thing. Here, of course, I have to say now the previous letter is number. Where is my thing? Number here. Here, I will say my previous number is, previous letter is, after this, the previous letter is going to be small. So this will actually now get me through this thing, and it will actually go through one at a time for each of these entries here. This one, it will go through this one. This is the first character is a capital one, and then the second character is a number. It will print capital, and then this number, and it will go to the next line. Then I have another capital. It will start another one. It will actually end with 1. I have to be careful here. So now I have to put it back there. If the previous thing was a capital, if the previous one a capital else, then I have to say, okay, now I will just actually go to a new line, but this time just printing 1 here. Meaning if this previous one was capital and this one is capital, that means that previous one had only 1 letter in between, or one of those elements in between. All right, so this will actually separate these components into 2 pieces, however many pieces that I have. Questions? All right, this is good. So if there are no more questions, then let's continue. So we have seen how to actually do the concatenation. We can concatenate using this strcat. And there is a small code here that actually shows something. Here you can see that I have S1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, S2 is A, B, C, D, and S3 is an empty string. Empty string has a lot of possibilities in it. So it has the original size of that string can go up to 100 in this definition. So this is actually getting the first part of the string, which is empty. It's going to print empty. The size is 0. So I am printing the size of the string S3, and then I am also, okay, I did a mistake here. So I am printing the size of the string, and I am printing the string itself. So you can see here that perhaps do this guy here. So it will actually print the size of the S3, current S3. First, in the beginning, just empty. The second one, I am concatenating S1 on top of S3, which would mean that S3 is empty. Now I'm gonna concatenating S1 on top of S3. That will mean that I will have 1, 2, 3, 4 in S3. So this will give me 4 character string with ABC 1, 2, 3, and this will be putting this line. We'll be putting concatenating another string on top of the existing one. Existing one is 1, 2, 3, 4, and the upcoming one is ABCD. So it will have 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD as size 8 string. And if we run this one, you will see that actually this will give us that output. Concatenation can actually put together 2 strings. So very important part of this thing is that your destination has to have enough entries in that definition, in the declaration, such that f plus the whatever in f, the current f, let's say if you have, in this case, f is my name, right? So I have 4 characters here, 5 characters here, but I have 15 possible characters or 14 possible characters with the, and the 15th one is gonna be the end of, potentially the end of a string character. And if I actually add L to this one, L has 4. So 5 plus 4, it will be 9. So this Fn and Ln, the number of characters in L and number of characters in original F should be less than the total of these should be less than the number that I have here. If it is exceeding this number, or if it is equal or exceeding to this number, then I will have a problem. I will have an overrun problem, overflow problem. Okay, so here you can see that actually what I'm doing is I'm doing a bounded version of this strcat. I have my original M, and I'm actually doing an L on top of it. And here, what I'm doing is I'm checking. I'm actually making sure that I know that there are 15 entries here, and then I'm checking the entry of M, and then this is the last character, and I'm making sure that you can copy as many as this one, no more than this. You can concatenate from the source as many of these number of characters as there. So this will guarantee that I'm gonna be I'm not gonna be actually exceeding this 15 in any case. So you have to be very, very careful with this one. All right. Questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Hopefully, no questions means that you are understanding what is going on here. All right, let's take a 10-minute break and we'll continue with some reading and writing of how do we read strings from a standard input, or how do we actually read it from a file in the coming 1 hour lecture. So we'll be here in exactly 10 minutes to 29.